Hello everyone out there, Phil here with a completely unplanned impromptu stream. Due to all of my plans for today being thwarted by malicious illegal actions against my channel here on YouTube, I don't really have enough time to do a gameplay stream. But there is something left over. Something that we were working on. A closet cleanup event that I worked on over the last, I have no idea why I partially opened my door like an idiot, that I worked on over the last month. As you can now see, my closet is nicely cleaned out. Things are stored properly. I actually have things hanging in there to use. It's very nice. The utility has been added dramatically because we've cleaned out that closet, and I'm really happy about that. However, there remains something else that needs to be cleaned. All right? And I'm curious. I'll go to clean this out. Let's see how this looks. Ready? All right. What you guys are looking at right now is something you've probably never seen before. This is the rest of my streaming setup. Right here next to me is all the equipment that I use to do stuff during a live stream, including my controller, my wireless Hori neck phones. This is the Astro receiver I tell you guys all about that I use for when I use PS5 or my Switch to get surround sound. It's not real surround sound. It's like simulated. It's not very good. It's much better when I get it out of my Xbox because that's true surround. But I need that. And then here I've got the bag that my Gunner glasses is in. My remote control for my air conditioner. My remote control for my TV. And this is my wireless keyboard that I use to update leaderboards during live streams. But what you're also seeing over here is the storage ottoman that's always been to the side. Now, over the years, there's been various levels of clutter on top of that ottoman. Okay? You might wonder, well, what's in it? Well, what's in it is stuff that was in it when it was in Connecticut. It's a storage ottoman. It opens up, and there's stuff inside. All right? Now, I've never actually used anything inside of that ottoman since I moved across the country 8 years ago. I've used the ottoman for, like, put stuff on top of it, but I don't use it for anything active. Okay? Since we have cleaned up the rest of the office, and this is the only remaining thing to clean up, it makes sense to go in there, see what's in there, test the items, see if they work, and then figure out if they're of value or if they're trash or what I'm going to do with them. Now, I know for a fact there's multiple joysticks in there from my Street Fighter days. I don't know if they work on modern consoles or not. We're going to find out, okay? And go from there. I'm likely going to end up keeping them because even if they don't work on modern consoles, they're still kind of nice collectibles. But maybe one day I could find someone who wants to buy them. I don't know. All right? So what I'm going to do momentarily is just show you what happens, how it opens. And then I'm actually going to pan the camera back here so you guys can see me actually, like, hold the joysticks and mess with them. But in the meantime, let me show you how this works, okay? Here it is. Now, hold on. I just realized you probably can't hear me over there. This ottoman can be flipped and used as a tray. And what they actually did when I bought this, they said, oh, flip it and put it on your lap because it's padded on the bottom. So use that as a tray on your lap. You can eat on the couch, put your food inside. Like this is a dining tray or something like that. You see? I think it's really ridiculous and silly because who the hell's going to eat with this on their lap? It's not very level. You know what I'm saying? But, so that's, they're saying, oh, it's dual use. Use it at the top of your ottoman when you're not using it as a tray to eat. I never did that, okay? But anyway, so that's the top. Now let's see what's inside because there's a lot of stuff in this ottoman, okay? cheaper. Okay. Is that the right level? I think it's, if you guys think it's too low, let me know. I can make it, like, make myself higher. I think it might be too high up. It's hard to tell. A little better? Okay. So anyway, this is one of my old joysticks from back in the day. Allow me to show it to you. It is called the Mad Catz Arcade Fight Stick Tournament Edition S. It was a product tie-in with the release of Super Street Fighter 4, which, as we already established, came out in 2010. Okay? So this is a 12-year-old joystick. It is designed for the Xbox 360. You can tell because the buttons are the colors of the Xbox 360 gamepad. You see that? So there you go. Now, this had some features. First of all, it has a door in which the wire is stored. It's not great. If you try to fit the whole wire in, it never really fit properly. It kind of bulges out a little bit. The start and back buttons are on the top. On the front, you got your front face buttons. You got your triggers and your shoulder buttons right there. But you can remap this if you like. The joystick also has some features on it. There's a locking feature. So, for example, if you want to plug your joystick in but not, like, have things accidentally happen, you can put it on lock so the buttons won't activate. And then you unlock it when you want the buttons to actually work. It also has, from what I can see, 3 settings: LS, RS, or DP. DP means this is simulating the digital pad on your controller. If you do LS or RS, that means it's simulating the left or right thumbstick on your controller. So imagine playing a game where the left or right thumbstick does something. It's not a fighting game. You can actually have this set, and you can use this for other games because it has that ability to switch between what the inputs are. Okay? I don't remember what these lights are for or what they indicate. They don't say anything on them. So honestly, I can't remember. This is a turbo button. So maybe what happens is when you press the turbo button and you press a button, you can turn it on turbo mode. So what is turbo mode? Many of you might not even know. All right? Because I call this out sometimes when I play fighting games. And I say this guy's using a turbo mode controller. It's cheating. So what is turbo mode? When you're playing a fighting game. All right? By the way, this is not centered. Here we go. When you're playing a fighting game, there are certain special moves that are supposed to come out when you rapidly press a button. So, for example, if you're using E Honda in Street Fighter, he has a move called the 100-hand slap. And the way you do it is you have to press a certain punch button a certain amount of times in a set period of time. And when you hit it, the same button a certain amount of times in a set period of time, the move will come out. It's a rapid tap move. Keep pressing the button, the move will come out extended. All right? But it's harder to do it depending on the strength of button you use. It's very easy to do with light punch. It's harder to do with medium. It's very tough to get to come out with fierce punch. Okay? When you turn on turbo controllers, essentially all you have to do... Oh, I want my fierce punch to be a turbo button. Oh, I want to do 100 hands. Here it is. Done. All you got to do is hold the button, and the controller itself will simulate you tapping the button. It's a cheating tactic because you're supposed to have skill to be able to hit the button and maintain that level of pushing it over and over, and people just cheat to get it to come out automatically. It's not allowed in tournament play. If someone used this joystick in tournament play, they would have been told the turbo must be disabled in order to participate in the tournament. Okay? So it's a nice feature to have. It's definitely not a nice feature to, you know, try to use overall. If you're a tournament level player, maybe for at home, it's good. Okay? So there you go. Now, on the bottom of the joystick, it's made of metal, and as you can see, the metal is corroded on the sides. And you might say, why is that? Because when you put this joystick on your lap, your legs line up with the sides of the joystick. When there is contact between human skin and metal, what ends up happening is oils transfer, sweat transfers, and you're eventually going to get corrosion. And there's nothing you can do about that. As much as you even try to clean it, it won't clean. It's going to stay corroded no matter what. Okay? So, That being said, that's why you're seeing corrosion at the bottom of this joystick. You can tell I've probably used this one, or my friends, when they came over to play Street Fighter 4 with me, probably used this one a significant amount of time. All right? Actually, it adds a distinct kind of metal smell to the bottom of the joystick. Now, in the future, what joystick companies ended up doing is they added padding. Allow me to show you. So this is a modernized joystick from a game or a accessory developer called Hori. They put padding on the sides of the stick. So when you put it down on your legs, the actual bottom of the stick no longer contacts with your legs, which means there will be no transference of oils, sweat, or chemicals between you and the stick won't corrode. Also, the bottom's made of plastic now instead of metal, so that way it wouldn't have that corrosion anyway, so it's kind of like a double way to protect it. Also, just to be honest here, this is very nice, like rubberized padding. It's soft, and it allows it to feel very comfortable when it sits on your lap. That joystick there, because it's just pure metal, feels cold. So you got cold metal sitting on your lap, and then you get uncomfortable if you're playing it for an extended period of time. Okay? All right. So now that I've taught you about Joysticks 101, all right, the final feature are these little rubberized grips, and the reason that those exist is because a lot of people would not put this on their lap, but instead put it down on some kind of a flat surface like a table. And if you use the rubberized grips, when this gets put down flat, it will not skid around the table or slide. Especially if you're in a tournament or a competitive match, the last thing you want is your joystick sliding all over the place, and now you're losing control. Okay, so that's what these are for. Fair enough? Okay. So, we got to take the wire out. No, I have never tried Hitbox. Hitbox is a company that came about in the last, 5 years, 10 years? And that was after my competitive days. I have not purchased a joystick, in that time frame, besides my Hori Real Arcade Pro 4 there, which was the era of Street Fighter 5 debuting. So I have never even seen a Hitbox. I know it's all buttons, right? There's no joysticks, it's all buttons, I believe, to do motions. Okay, so here's the wire. And interestingly enough, here's the end. On the Xbox 360 only, they have a security failsafe. Watch this, ready? What that is a little connector. So, if you have this plugged into, say, a console, or you have it plugged into a piece of equipment like a PC, and you accidentally forgot to unplug your joystick, and you walk away, you will not pull the console or PC with you. It'll actually say, boop, and prevent that piece of equipment from being pulled onto the floor and destroyed. It actually was a concern because people were actually bringing joysticks to tournaments and pulling consoles onto the floor, busting them because they were stupid. So this is like a stupidity fail-safe device. It's only on the Xbox versions for some reason, because I do have PlayStation versions, and for some odd reason, the PlayStation versions, they don't have it. I don't know if maybe they couldn't get it to work with the cord of the PlayStation version. I'm not sure. Okay, so anyway, there you have it. Now, the big question is, will this work on my Xbox Series X console at all? I don't know the answer. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to try it. I'm actually going to go plug it in and see what happens. All right? Now I'm going to unplug my current joystick, the one I just showed you. That's the Hori. I'm going to unplug that and plug this in its place and see what happens. Okay. fuck did we get this tangled? What the hell? Like tangled itself. Okay. Up. Sorry it took so long. The wires were all knotted so badly. I couldn't even plug it in. I had to unknot the wires to get a room. I plugged it in. And... nothing. It does not work on the modern Xbox Series X console. Interestingly enough, joysticks that work on the Xbox One will work on the Xbox Series X, but for some odd reason, Xbox 360 controllers will not. They didn't make that cross compatibility. Now, what I would like to see happen, all right, I would like to plug this into my PC and see what happens. You guys might hear all kinds of weird sounds. All right, we're about to find out. Let me plug it in and see what actually happens. So bear with me here. If my PC explodes, hopefully not. All right, get ready. Oh, holy shit. It works with PC. It lit up. You know when Xbox 360 used to do the 4 segments around the Xbox logo that would light up if it's controller 1, 2, 3, or 4? It just lit up. It works. It lit up as controller port 1. So this joystick would work on PC only. I guess it works with Windows. It just works with Windows. Okay. I can't play fighting games on my PC. As I told you guys, I can't play PC games at all. It would max out my CPU. But it's nice to know it does work with PC, right? And eventually, if I do get to upgrade my setup, get a new PC where I can play games, and maybe I choose to play fighting games on my PC, it certainly would be good to have options. This is definitely a joystick I would consider maybe cleaning up. All right, and once I clean it up, you know, maybe using, right? So I guess we'll see what happens. That's interesting. I was not expecting that. I was expecting I was going to plug it in, and the thing was not going to work at all. And now it did. It actually kind of shocks me that it worked. I'm kind of like flabbergasted that it worked like that, because I thought for sure I was going to plug it in and it was going to be like, you know, nothing, zero response or whatever. So, okay, well, there you go. So, cool. We have a joystick that's salvageable, at least for PC gaming. And by the way, back in the day, there were different kinds of joysticks. This one, the artwork itself is in the top panel, kind of like screen printed onto it. So it's already in the joystick. There's no way to like change out that art. It's kind of stuck there forever. There were joysticks that had stuff inside that you could replace to put artwork and stuff in. I might have one of them. We're going to see. We'll find out. But anyway, that's cool. The only thing, all right. There you go. Tacozilla just said, You can get this to work on an Xbox Series X, but you need to buy a converter. He recommends the Brook Wingman XB converter. Well, I'm not going to be buying that. Absolutely not. I'm not buying that. I already have a joystick that works for my Series X that's new, but it's nice to know, right, that it could work. And also, it's nice to know it would work with PC. Now, here's another question, because this is something that competitive fighters talk about. What about input delay? Because when you're using any controller on a console or PC, that controller might actually not be instantly reacting to what you press, but might actually add some input delay from when you press the button or move the joystick and when that actually happens in the game. And every controller is different, and every console and every PC is different. I'm curious, using an Xbox 360 joystick like this on PC, would it work well? Or would they say, oh, because it was designed for 360, that's going to add input delay, right? And now because of that, now, you know, you're going to have lag when you're trying to execute stuff in a tournament setting or whatever. I have no idea. All right, but that's pretty cool to know that it will work with my PC. Now I'm actually thinking, I wonder if the PlayStation version of the joystick would work, because that I have no answer for. We're gonna have to mess with that too, but we're almost done here. What I'm trying to do is store the wire in the storage door. As you can hear, it's not an easy endeavor because you're basically forcing it in. Okay. I actually left the end dongle out this time rather than trying to force it in, and now it actually fits a lot more flush to the side of the joystick. See that? All right. So, stick looks nice with Ryu and Ken for Street Fighter 4. By all, you know, things, it feels like it's working. It feels fine. And it'll work on PC only for now. Not going to use it on 360 or PS3. But now we know. Let's continue because there's a lot of shit in there. Okay? Oh, shit. I hit my camera. Okay? What is this? What the... Well... So... When Fallout 4 released in 2015, so 7 years ago, okay, I bought the Collector's Edition strategy guide to go with it. This was one of, if not the last strategy guide I ever bought in my life, okay? This came with some fun stuff, including, this had a code to get the guide, for, like an e-version of the guide for free. However, I think Prima Games went out of business. So I think if you actually went there, it wouldn't even exist anymore to do. I don't think you could get it, okay? But it also came with Fallout 4, what do they call these? The bobbleheads? The bobblehead Vault Boys. The different ones from the game as artistic prints. Interestingly enough, these did not come with the game. You had to buy the strategy guide, all right, in order to get these. Thank you, Gary BKK, for that tip. I'll shout that out in a moment. There you go. I held on to them and didn't know where they went. They were in my Ottoman. The whole freaking time, I just tossed them into my storage Ottoman. I had no clue they were in there. So, do they have any value? No. Are they nice? Yeah, kind of. Would I do anything with them eventually? I don't know. I don't know if I want to frame those. They have zero value. This piece of cardboard, okay? By the way, interestingly enough, the Fallout 4 Collector's Edition Strategy Guide in 2015 cost $39.99 in the US, $45.99 in Canada, 24 pounds and 99... You guys don't call them cents, do you? What do you call them? Pence? 24 pounds, 99 pence in the UK. $54.95 in Australia. That's a pretty goddamn pricey strategy guide, no? Ridiculously expensive. So, there you go. I didn't buy the game. I actually got it gifted to me by Bethesda. But I bought the strategy guide. So there you go. I'll probably put that in the closet. At a future date, I'll figure out what I want to do with it, but let me put it in there for storage purposes. Where to put it? Shit. See? I got everything nicely sorted now, so if I just toss it randomly somewhere, it's going to I'm starting clutter again. So where the hell do I put it? Shit. Oh, the clutter begins again. All right. Shout out very much to Gary BKK for a $28 tip. It's good to see you here, Gary. Haven't seen you here in a bit. I hope you're doing all right. And thank you so much for the support on a pretty shitty day for me. I don't know what's going to happen moving forward. I appreciate the support right now. Thank you, man. By the way, it looks like I hit my camera again. I did. Okay. Let's continue. We got more to get to in this Ottoman. What's next? Sun pack. I think this is pretty easy to probably figure out what's in here. But for the sake of argument, let's take a look and see what's in here, huh? A pretty high-end tripod. The way this tripod works, it's considered I think it's called a gun grip, where to move it, all you do is you depress this, and you can now move your camera around on a ball bearing. And when you release, it locks it in place. And that's how you aim your camera. See that? Pretty interesting, huh? This was the second tripod I bought. The first one I bought, actually the camera's on right now. It's called the Platinum Plus by Sunpack. This one is called the Sunpack Pro 523PX. So, why do I have this? Because back in the day, if you remember, I used to record with cameras all the freaking time, right? And it was one camera that I would have pointed at my TV, but frequently when I did other cooperative playthroughs and projects, all right, that's not good. Why is that so loose? Shouldn't be, but it is. These are tight still. No, actually, no, that was not it. This is the only one that's still tight. Damn. So, when I did cooperative projects, so I'll give you an example here, all right? Sometimes I would do a dual camera setup. I would have one camera pointed at my television, but if let's say we're doing a motion control game or a party style game, well, you want to see us on the couch doing stuff too. So I'd have one tripod pointed at the TV and another one pointed at us, you see? And that's what the purpose of this second tripod was. I remember I got this tripod way later than getting this one. And you know what? I'm actually thinking in my head, maybe I would want to use this one. Reason being, it's easy to turn, and I'd be able to turn the camera all around my room. But likely I just kept it in storage. I don't know why I did, because it seems like it works fine. So in fact, how about this? Here's something we can do. Can I replace my current tripod with this one on the fly during the stream? Let's see. It is a nice tripod. This is a really high quality one because of the gunner. It's called a gun grip. It's really nice being able to aim it with just a hand rather than have to fuck with all the settings and things. So let's see here. All I would need to do is raise the central column here up to the same height that I have the webcam at now, which would be right about there. Okay. It's nice and sturdy because I didn't use it that much. Like I said, this was the backup tripod. This was the one that I used for projects when we needed 2 cameras, but I didn't use it that much. So actually, this tripod is relatively unused compared to this one that I've been using every day for the last 8 years in the office. It's pretty new. So let's see here how this is going to work out. Thank you, Kagome. I hope that things will get cleared up here as well on DSPGaming. There's no guarantees, right? But thank you for the sentiment. I appreciate that. So here we go. Can we do, let's see. I'm going to try to swap this. Ready? So, how do I get it off? Like this. Okay. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Go. Oh. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Here's, oh, wow. So, right away, I can tell you how useful this is. Look, I can move it all around my setup. You can see my YouTube play button on the wall already. You see that? How cool is that? So, I'm definitely too far back, I think. I'm way too far back. I need to get closer. Oh, wait, what am I? Well, actually, no. Yes. There we go. It's still different. Okay, let's see how this looks. It's definitely different, huh? It's definitely a different style of angle. The other one was a little bit further back. This one's like a little bit closer. But the gun grip is hugely cool. Because now I can move it all around my office and show you guys, you know, all around the office at once. Which is really nice. I really like that. Yeah. What do you guys think? Looks the same, right? I mean, it didn't really improve anything, but now the ability to say, hey, here's my YouTube play button. Here's what's over here. In fact, watch this. Watch how easy this is now. Look at that. So now I can easily just pan the camera back and forth when I do stuff. That's cool, huh? All right, so I'm going to pack up the old tripod. I think a good guide is to see that the YouTube play button is just out of frame. That's how you can tell that the camera's actually in frame. I don't think the camera looks any clearer or anything, right? It's not. It's slightly closer than it was, just slightly. All right, so how the hell am I going to do this? That. Yeah, I actually think that tripod is much better when it comes to like the legs not moving and stuff too. And it's less space. This one, the legs were wider. On that one, the legs aren't as wide, but it's still pretty tall. Ah! Kagome, welcome back. He says he was at the movies and catching up. Cool. So, now I just do this. Alright. So, Sunpack Ultra 7000 TM. Thank you very much. You did me a lot of good work over the last 8 years that I've lived here. I think it's time to retire you for now. Not to say that you'll never come back, but you've used a lot of work, right? I think it's time to retire this guy and to start to use the newer, more modernized tripod so we can move around and see in the office better. Okay? Okay, I'm being told, new update, the Dark Pictures Anthology Devil in Me is coming out November 18th. So it is not coming out for Halloween this year. It's a little late. Okay. I'm very pleased we found that, because this tripod is actually going to help the setup a lot, I feel. Derek, what you missed is that we are doing the Ottoman unboxing. We're finishing up the whole cleaning out of the office. This is my old tripod. Now, really, it's actually a newer tripod, and we're using it right now, which is why it might look a little different. Okay. So this will go in the closet for now. Okay. So there again, right? I now be able to use this on streams and easily move around, which is really cool. So let me make sure it's centered. If I just sit here, I'm looking dead on it, you guys. Is it centered? Looks like it's slightly off. It's about centered. The camera's a little different. Like I said, the camera's actually a little closer. Yeah, the camera's a little closer now. Now it's crooked. God damn it. How's that? That's good. That's nice, centered and straight, right? Okay. But it'll be much easier to maneuver around and look around the office. Very good. All right, now. See here. So, let's continue on. We still got more to do. There's other stuff in there besides just those 3 things. I know we took a while for that one. Let's keep looking. Ready? Okay. It's the strap from a Rock Band guitar. Considering I don't have any Rock Band accessories anymore, I guess I don't need this. I guess this is trash. Okay. Okay. What we have here is very different, okay? This is the Hori Xbox 360 style joystick. It's called the Real Arcade Pro EX Special Edition. Again, this is likely from around 2010 or so. Okay? It's very different from the Mad Catz style for multiple reasons. Number one, it uses a different style of joystick and a different style of buttons. I believe the Mad Catz version, which is the one I showed you before, uses a brand that I want to say it's either going to be Sanwa buttons or they're going to simulate Sanwa buttons. That's a brand of button. These are different. If you take a look at the buttons, they're kind of flat rather than rounded. They're like really flat rather than rounded. When you click on them, they have a unique sound. Hear that? Sounds very different than the clicking sound of the other buttons. These are called Shimizu style buttons. And depending on who you ask in the fighting game community, some people like Sanwa, some people like Shimizu. I do believe Sanwa eventually kind of got adopted as the tournament standard, but a lot of people did like Shimizu, and it feels different to the touch. It really does. It has almost like a satisfying feeling when you hit a Shimizu button, that you're sure it's like a soft feeling when you press it. It's hard to explain unless you're actually touching the buttons and making lots of annoying noise like I'm doing right now. Okay? But it's pretty cool. It's much heavier than that other joystick that I showed you. Alright? However, it has less features. And what I mean by that is, as you can see, this is for a headset. You could plug in an Xbox 360 headset and talk through this thing if you wanted. The Mad Catz version did not have that, but this one does not have turbo functionality at all. No turbos, okay? It does have your back and start buttons and your button. One major difference. The face buttons are different. You notice the colors are about over an arc, okay? As opposed to over on the Mad Catz, it was red, blue, yellow, green. Excuse me, let's try that again. Red, whoa. Actually, it's completely wrong. It's blue, yellow, green, red. Blue, yellow, green, red. So, because of the button placement being different, this one, you would have to manually remap the buttons most times for it to be the correct button layout. This joystick was not just primarily for Street Fighter. That one over there was, okay? But this one can be played with a lot of different style of fighting games. Virtua Fighter is one of the fighting games that only uses 4 buttons. So the 4 colored buttons would be the one being used for that. Same thing with Tekken. Tekken only uses 4 buttons. So you could kind of program in those 4. You see? The reason why is, take a look at this. This is the natural arch of your hand. So when you're playing naturally, your 4 fingers are going to go right onto those buttons. You see, that's why they did it like that. But in reality, most people ended up mapping it so that the first 4 buttons were the ones you would use the most anyway, and then the later buttons. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really have that much of an impact. Also, the button layout's slightly different. If you can notice, there's an arch that goes throughout the buttons. It's a big arch, right? On the Mad Catz, you have an arch for the first 2 rows of buttons, but then they go straight across. So it's definitely a different joystick design. Some people prefer this style. Some people prefer the more Americanized style of the Mad Catz I've already shown you. Okay? This joystick, as you can see, was barely used. There's 0 corrosion on the bottom at all. I pretty much only used it a few times. I put DSP on the bottom to make sure no one would try to steal it. But outside of that, it's almost like new. However, you'll notice something. Look, no padding. This was before they started putting padding on all the joysticks. So again, you would put this on your lap. Ah, it's cold metal to your legs. Like, it's kind of uncomfortable and weird, right? I don't know why back then they didn't kind of figure that out, and it took them a while to figure out, oh, people want padding on their joysticks, and now they have it on every one. What it does have, similar to the Mad Catz, it has these 4 rubber stoppers, so when you put it down on a table, it won't skid around. However, the quality of the rubber stoppers is not as good. You can actually see on this one, the rubber stopper used to be right there. It slid over time. So these are not as good. The ones over there, the rubber stopper is actually around a screw, which I guess holds it in place. Here, it's just some, what do you call it? Glue to make it stay. So it's not as good. These can actually get loose and come off. Okay? So, there you go. Now, we already know from experience the other one didn't work with the Xbox One. Or excuse me, the Xbox Series X. Just for the sake, I already got it set up. Let me plug it in. I guarantee you it's not going to work with the Series X. Would this still work with the PC? This is a like new joystick. So, let's find out. That was interesting. That was very interesting. It tried. So, there was a completely different reaction when I tried to plug the joystick into my Series X this time. Unlike the Mad Catz, which nothing happened, the lights all lit up. And then essentially it checked with the software. Oh, it's not compatible, and the lights went back off. I was like, ah. So power will go to it, but sadly, it won't work with the Series X. Let's try plugging it into the PC. It works. It works. It fully works with the PC, just like the Mad Catz. I plugged it in. It showed up. One was blinking. One is now solid. That means it fully works with PC. So both the Mad Catz and that Hori joystick will both fully work with PC compatibility if I wanted to use them in the future. However, again, could there be input delay? There might be some input delay. There's no way to know until you test it. I can't test it right now. Derek, thank you for chilling with me all day today. I appreciate you hanging out, and I'll see you later. Maybe I'll see you tonight. I don't know. Guess we'll see. Okay, so I have two joysticks that work. That's pretty cool. One downside to this joystick, no storage of the cord. While the other ones have that storage door to put the wire in, this one doesn't have that. That's a little annoying. The wire's kind of loose. Okay? All right. Alright, what else? We've cleaned more than half of the Ottoman out. Let's keep going. There's still some more in there. More paper. If you're wondering where all this paper is in there, it's because when I moved, I basically wanted it to be protected, so I just put all this big crumbled up paper, so if they're moved around in transit, it would basically stop them from shifting around, because I actually did move that Ottoman with those joysticks in them. Okay, so there you go. Before I explain what this is, James says you can test input delay through Windows. You got to open up the controller section. There should be a test controller option where it'll ask you to push the buttons in order. There you go. Mr. Views to me $1.50. Says, what would be the tip's goal if you react to the legacy of Almighty Tevin? I only ask because it's not much different from Wings. Are you saying there's a video about Tevin similar to Wings? I didn't know that. I didn't know that Tevin had detractors. I have no idea. You would think if I'm talking about one of my detractors or haters that likely it would bring a ton of attention to the stream, but I don't know anything about that. I have no idea the video even existed or who made it. Okay? If it does exist, I guess again, I would have to talk to the person who made it. You would think the person who made it probably doesn't like me either. Who knows? I don't know. See if they would give me reaction or permission to react to it. Certainly, it would be a little bit of poetic justice of me finally be reacting to something that he does, right? Okay. Asuk Medic, har har har, says, do you still have the Vita? No, the Vita's been gone for a long time. Power squid. What is a power squid? Well, what it is, it's a squid. When you plug it in, it takes its little squid tentacles here and starts wriggling them all around. And you're like, oh shit, the fucking squid came to life. And it tries to Okay. It's not what it is. It is a power strip. And the reason that's a really cool power strip is because each cord is a different length and it's its own cord. As opposed to these surge protectors that you use sometimes where How am I going to plug in this giant fucking power block when it's 5 sockets, but they're all next to each other? They don't fit. You plug in one block, you took up 4 sockets. So the Power Squid allows you to do 5 sockets completely freed from themselves. So if you have power blocks or other things, you're good to go. I actually have one of these on the floor, and I've used this for years and years and years in here. Right now I have my phone charger, my laptop charger, and I've plugged other things into that over the years as well. That's all I've got in there for now. But yeah, so Power Squid, I use one, and I actually have a backup. Okay, debating, should I put this into my closet or should I put this back in there? Because it's good to know I have it. I'll probably just put it back in there for now after we're done here. Okay. Okay. Sloopy Calamars to show us the new tripod. Show you what? The Power Squid on the floor with 2 cords coming out of it? No. There's no point in that. It's not interesting. Okay. So there you go. Power Squid. We still have 2 more joysticks to look at, guys. Which one is this? Okay. Another Hori joystick. This one is for PlayStation as opposed to Xbox 360. Real Arcade Pro 3 SA. I don't know what the SA stands. Oh, Special Addition with an A instead of an E. I wonder if that was on purpose or if they're saying they added something to it as opposed to the standard version, and that's why it's the addition instead of edition with an E. That's kind of weird, right? Anyway, so this one is for PlayStation Edition 3 only. All right, similar to the Mad Catz joystick. It's got a turbo button, home, L3 and R3. So those are the thumbsticks you would click in. It actually has buttons for those on the joystick, interestingly enough. And again, this has D-pad, left thumbstick, right thumbstick settings. So if you wanted to use this for something other than a fighting game, you can actually have it control the left or right thumbstick as well. Okay. You're starting to select buttons. And of course, your button layout is a little bit more arched than the Mad Catz. It's more Japanese style, is more arched. Okay. On the back, Real Arcade Pro 3 Special Edition with an A. As you can see, this one was not used as much as that other one. It's not corroded. But again, no pads on the bottom, so it doesn't work. Okay? So, it feels good. It really does feel like a good joystick. It needs a little cleaning maybe, but it feels pretty solid. I'm pretty convinced it doesn't work on PS5. I think I will try just for the hell of it. So let's actually turn off my Xbox Series X. I'm going to swap over to the PS5. We're going to plug this in and see if it works. I pretty much guarantee it will not. But just for the sake of argument, give it a shot. Because if it does, I might use this. And I have another one as well that's a Mad Catz. If they work, I might try using those instead of my old Real Arcade Pro 4. I've been using that joystick, no exaggeration, for 7 straight years. Maybe it's worn out, and maybe these sticks actually would control better, but I really, really doubt that this is going to work. Okay? Let me hook up my PS5 quickly. It's only a 2-cable swap. Okay. Oh, come on. Don't care about that. It tried to tell me, oh, Your wireless controller can be updated. Do you want to do that now? No. Maybe later. Okay. Nicholas says, you know, after a shit-filled day, it's nice to have this calmer, wholesome stream. I agree with you. We're finishing up. There's 2 joysticks left, and then we're done. I agree with you. I really needed to just relax today with this stress of earlier. And sadly, you know, there's been no updates, positive nor negative. Certainly, those copyright strikes have not been removed or anything. You know. I've been checking, and they're still there. They're not being removed. Nothing I can do about that. I already disputed them. And I haven't heard any update from YouTube yet. So it is what it is. Okay. Alright. Let's give it a try. I'm going to plug this into my PS5 and see what happens. I don't suspect it's going to work at all. But let's try. Okay, so here it is. Nope. Nothing. Nothing. Zero reaction, no lights, no pop-ups, nothing. Now I'm going to try plugging it into the PC and see what happens. Nothing. Nope. Absolutely nothing. That kind of sucks. Yeah, that sucks because at least in the case of the 360 controllers, at least you're going to get some use possibly in the future. You at least have something to look forward to. Like, all right, maybe one day I'll play on my PC. In this case, it doesn't even work. All right, so not working on PC, not working on PS5, essentially dead. There's no reason to have it. It's basically a paperweight to me. Maybe it's a collector's item to someone else. Ace Fondu says the PS3 stick will work. You must boot up a game that will use it like Street Fighter 5. Yeah, but it doesn't even work at all on the menu. If the joystick's not working on the menu, then how is it going to work in a game? That doesn't really make sense. It needs to be recognized by the console before the game can specifically recognize it. So I don't know if I really believe that. Huh. Maybe, you know, if you're talking about a more modernized PS3 stick. This one's very old, obviously over a decade old. I don't think so. All right, we have one joystick left, guys. Ready? Last one. And this is the one we actually looked at on a random night stream the other day. Or was it a day stream? I can't remember when it was. Funny enough, look what I found. Oops. So guess what? At some point, I had another joystick, an Xbox one, that had a break-off cord. I probably gave it to my friend before I moved. Because I told you guys, I gave away a shitload of stuff before I moved out of Connecticut. I just gave stuff away, stuff that I didn't want to take with me. Likely, I had way more joysticks. In fact, I can tell you, I had all those custom art joysticks. We had the Akuma one, the Blanca one, and likely 3 or 4 more joysticks that I had over the years, that I probably just gave away to my friends at the time and said, hey, I'm moving, you guys could just have them. And likely, if they took them, they either played with them or they sold them themselves. This is the leftovers of what I took across the country with me. So someone got a joystick without the dongle, and so if they wanted to actually use it, they had to go buy it on the internet. I'm pretty sure you could buy this separate on the internet for an Xbox 360 controller. It's not that big of a deal, but it's pretty funny. It's completely worthless. Like, what am I going to do with this? I don't have another joystick for it, and now the Xbox controllers don't use that anymore. Okay. Ross Prey, I thank you. He said, I hope things improve. Thank you. Right now, I have zero control over anything. Just got to hope for the best. And if something goes wrong, remember the contingency plan. I'll announce it on Twitter and hopefully elsewhere of what to do next. But I'm definitely going to keep making content. If this channel gets suspended temporarily for false copyright bullshit, I will make sure that I can still make content elsewhere. Okay? Okay. So, this is the PlayStation equivalent of what we saw over on the Xbox 360. But interestingly enough, if you look at the artwork, you'll notice something. On the 360, the artwork was Ken and Ryu. For some reason on PS3, all they got was Ryu. One person instead of two? That's kind of a ripoff, no? Right? If you're going to buy a joystick, you want one that has nice art. The art's nice, but why did you get kind of short change? Why didn't they have more characters on the stick for PlayStation than on Xbox? Doesn't even make sense, right? Who knows? But anyway, so here it is, same button layout as on the Xbox 360 version. The difference is it doesn't have the colored buttons because the buttons on the face of the PS3 are not colored. The PS3 controller, that is. So it just gives you more generic gray. Honestly, if you look at them, this one probably looks more aesthetically pleasing. It's a nicer, color scheme, I think. While the other one has all these rainbow colors on it, this one doesn't. It's still Super Street Fighter 2. It's the same exact version of the joystick we just saw over on the 360, only now done for PS3. So it still has the same select left or right joystick, lock the buttons, turbo button there. Here's your face button, still has the door to store the cord for it. So all the same features. And as you can see, this one I did not use as much as the 360. It's not worn out at the bottom. It is more used than the others for sure, but it's not worn out at the bottom. Still didn't put pads. So all my modern joysticks have pads. All these older ones do not, okay? The only thing left to do is plug it in, right, and see what happens. Plug it into both. So let's find out. Can't get the plug in. Weird. Huh. Oh, it's oh wow. I'm looking at it, I'm like, I can't even get it to plug in. What's going on? It's busted. It's bent. When it was in storage, something must have sat or landed on it and flattened the USB port. It won't plug in because it needs to be stretched out, per se. Without having a tool to do that, I don't really feel safe doing that. I don't really want to, like, damage it. But definitely, it looks like I would need to stretch out both ends, too. Both ends seem to be banged up. So both ends would have to be messed with in order to get it to plug in to a USB port. So I'm not going to mess with my PC. Obviously, I don't want to screw up anything on my PC with that. It sucks. It looks nice. But the thing is, it's PS3. We're just going to assume it's probably the same as the other PS3 sticks. For some odd reason, PS3 stuff will not even work with PC, while the Xbox stuff does. Maybe it's because Xbox is Microsoft Windows. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking. Windows, it's more compatible. So, All right, let's stack the joysticks back into the Ottoman now that we know what's in there. So we've got the 2 Mad Cats, 1 for each console. We've got 2 Hori, 1 for each console, right? Is that it? 2 and 2? Let's get them back in there. Yeah, that's it. That there. And the squid. All right. Here we go. Okay, so let's recap. Let's recap what we found. All right. So we found 2 Hori joysticks and 2 Mad Catz joysticks. 1 each for the Xbox 360, 1 each for the PlayStation 3. One of the Xbox 360s was unique because it was actually what's considered the Famitsu style control buttons and joystick. It's a little different from the standard Sanwa that was more commonly adopted by everyone for a kind of tournament play. So that was kind of nice to find the different one in there. There was a power squid that I put back in there. And the new tripod we're immediately using right now. We're actually using the new tripod. It's easier to maneuver around the office and show you guys things around the office. It allowed me to actually get this webcam just a little closer than the previous tripod did, and the legs don't stick out as far, so maybe I won't trip on this one like I did on the other one constantly. So, in regards to all those finds, the cool thing is the 2 Xbox 360 joysticks work with PC. So in the future, if I do get a new PC and I'm able to now play games on there, in particular, maybe I'll buy fighting games for PC. Maybe I'll try Fightcade, which you guys have asked for the longest time, right? So if that happens, and you know, we get to that point, maybe I can try using those joysticks on PC. I think my current joysticks would also work on PC. Like, I'm fairly confident that my Hori Fight Stick Alpha, which is the one for Xbox Series X, would also work on PC. So maybe it's really not a concern, because really it's going to be input delay. How much input delay is there using those joysticks with a modernized PC? And if you go to play and that thing is monstrously lagged, then there's no point in even using it at all, right? Now, as for value, in this case, it's a little different than, say, oh, my retro games collection, and here's why. With retro games collection, there's intrinsic value and there's collector's value. The intrinsic value of those items is that those are games that can be played. If you have the retro console, like the Sega Genesis, the SNES, the Sega CD or 32X, or other, I think I had a few others in there, right? NES, the original NES. If you have those games, or excuse me, those consoles, and they work, you could get a retro game, pop it in, and actually play it. That's the intrinsic value. Now you've got the collector's value, and what that is, oh, well, perhaps this is a item that's rare. Perhaps this is oh my god, it's the original Mega Man, right? Or something like that. And that's going to artificially kind of inflate the value of that item to the point where, okay, maybe it has a resale value above and beyond it just being a usable game, okay? In regards to these joysticks, we really don't have much utility or intrinsic value to them. They look nice, true, but how many people are actively playing fighting games on their Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 in 2022? Not very many, right? Very few, actually. And so that being said, you know, what's going to happen if I try to sell those? Likely someone would be like, well, it has no utility. No one's going to buy this joystick and then go plug it into a console and play a game with it. Does it have a collector's value? Possibly. Maybe those things are rare at this time. I don't know. I can tell you this. At the time when those joysticks were coming out, they were selling out. Both the Wave 1 and Wave 2 of the Mad Catz Street Fighter 4 joysticks, which is regular Street Fighter 4, and then the Super Street Fighter 4, were selling out everywhere. All right? The game was that popular that almost everyone who was buying Street Fighter 4 at the time, you know, 13 years ago, was buying a joystick to play with it. It was a very common thing to do, to go to the store and buy a joystick, even though they were over $100, like $130, I want to say, up to $150 in price. People were still buying those things to play Street Fighter 4. So they were, it wasn't like, oh, they're overstocked and every store has a million. That shit was sold out. You couldn't find those anywhere. They go on sale, shipment would come in, within a day they're all gone, and you got to wait another month for the store to get another shipment if you want to buy one. Okay? So maybe there is some collector's value in those older joysticks. I don't know. They are all used. It's not like, oh, new in box or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Chill Benefaction says, what if someone wants to restore it with new components because they like the look of it? Here's the thing. You can do that, but it's essentially like rebuilding the joystick from scratch, and allow me to explain why. The core elements of that stick are the actual board. That's the thing that will interface with the console. Then you've got the buttons and all their connectors, the joystick and its connectors. Okay, that's the primary component. True, you could probably reuse the buttons, reuse the joystick. But when it comes down to the main source of the board, the board itself, you're essentially got to buy a whole new controller. Because you're not buying a PS3 controller, now you're buying a PS5 controller board to put in there. And I don't know what the pricing of that kind of shit is right now. But I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying it's going to be pricey. It's not as simple as, oh, I just want to replace the buttons, so I order them online. Each one's a couple bucks, and I pop them in, and now I have fresh new buttons. You got to replace the whole board. So now you're talking a big chunk of expense. For example, some of those joysticks went for 150 bucks. No exaggeration, probably the board inside was 80 bucks. You see? So, could you restore them and have them use with a new console? Yes. But it might be a pricey upgrade. And especially when you could just buy a new joystick, why go with an older case unless you're absolutely going for nostalgic purposes? You know what I'm saying? So, do they have value? I honestly think that would be more value for collector. Maybe there's someone who 14 years ago, you know, 12 years ago, was actively playing Street Fighter on consoles, and they liked having the Hori stick, or they liked using the Mad Catz stick. Maybe they had those and they played them to death. They broke, and now they're not usable anymore. And you just want, I mean, I would love to have that in my collection and put it as part of my game room and show that I was a gamer back then. I was at the dawn of Street Fighter 4, and here's the official branded sticks. Maybe then there'd be some value to them. But I really don't think there's going to be value as utility value. There's no intrinsic value of I'm plugging into a console and start playing on it. Even like I said, okay, will those Xbox joysticks work on PC? Yes. Are they going to be any good compared to something modernized 13 years later, where likely they've gone through multiple iterations, tried to get rid of input delay and all that shit? Probably not. Probably they're going to end up being laggy and not very good, or not very responsive compared to a modern one. So why would you want it? You see what I'm saying? So what I think, unlike the games, where you've got that collector's value, plus a utility and intrinsic value if you can play the games, here it's more like it's just a collector's piece. It sits in a showroom or in a case. It's never used. You see what I mean? So, sadly, with all the stuff we just found in there, I can't really even put a dollar value on any of it. Unlike those games you could look up online and be like, oh, Mega Man 1 is worth 40 bucks, and this game is worth it. you can't even really put a dollar amount or a value on it. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could. I wish, oh, those are worth something. And I could go sell those right now. If you go to a game store, try to pawn those off, they'll be like, what console are they for? Oh, Xbox 360 or PS3. All right, I'll give you $10 for it, you know? There's no value there. It's because it's a two generation outdated console. So, but the tripod was a find. I'm actually excited we're using this tripod now. This is actually a cool addition to the stream. So there you go. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching me do the final clean out of my office. All I have to throw out right now is this and the packing paper. We're actually making use of the tripod. Those joysticks will just stay in there for now. I now know I have extra storage over there if I need it. In the Ottoman, there's tons of extra storage in there now. That's good. So, yeah, that's it. Now, I've actually cleaned out my whole office. There's no leftovers. Pretty cool, right? All right, guys, what I would like to say is thank you. I know this was an impromptu session for those who watched live. I literally have no idea if, as I go to upload this to YouTube, if it'll work and if it'll stay up or if my channel will get taken down. I have no clue. This false copyright strike bullshit, there's no telling what's going to happen. All right? So, all I can do is kind of shrug and be like, wow, this sucks. But it is what it is. I hope you guys enjoyed who are here live. Thanks to those who continue to support during this event. Thank you to those who maybe watch this on demand afterward and enjoy on YouTube if you get the chance. All right, guys? Thank you very much. That's it. You might say, when's the next clean out? There is none. We did it all. We actually cleaned out everything in my office. It's done. So the next time I would clean anything out is if we have years of clutter build up again in the closet, right? Then maybe, but we got a while. So the good news is we're done with that. And now we can move on from it and head into, hopefully, you know, a fun and busy gaming season. So, all right, guys, thank you so much once again. Appreciate all of you chilling with me today on the fly. Peace out. Until next time.